Both of LA's NBA teams ended long road trips with impressive wins last night. The Lakers got a strong triple-double from Anthony Davis to help finish a 4-2 trip. AD had 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists. LeBron also had 26 points and 7 assists. D'Angelo Russell led the Lakers with 28. The Lakers are home Thursday night against Denver. There's a ton of sparkling numbers for the Clippers. They held on for a 5-point win in Atlanta to cap a 6-1 Eastern road trip. 36 points for Kawhi Leonard, 30 points and 10 assists for James Harden. The Clippers shot 60% from three-point range. They are 19 games over 500 and just a half game behind Minnesota and Oklahoma City for the best record in the Western Conference. Since December 1st, the Clippers are 26-5. They're at home Wednesday night against New Orleans. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough.
Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be now. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm thrilled to have you tuned into our program today. What an amazing first hour with Jeffrey Toobin talking about the breaking news, in case you haven't heard and just tuned in. A federal appeals court has ruled that Donald Trump is not immune from prosecution for January the 6th. And we fully expect that his team will appeal that decision all the way up to the Supreme Court. Jeffrey Toobin's belief is that the Supreme Court will take that case, and he further opined that he believes that in this instance, even though Trump appointed 3 members of the court, that they will support this lower court's ruling, finding that Donald Trump does not have immunity from prosecution for his role in January 6th. We also talked about Thursday, though, when the Supreme Court will hear arguments about whether or not Donald Trump should be kicked off of ballots in various states. And in that regard, Jeffrey Toobin suggests that he thinks that Trump will win that argument, that they will find a way, these conservatives, to make sure he stays on the ballots in all these states between now and November as the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. So some breaking news today, once again, that Donald Trump does not have immunity from prosecution for January 6th. We'll see how that unfolds in the days, weeks, maybe even months ahead. We shall see. In this hour, 2 conversations on the B side of this hour. We will celebrate the 4th season of country music artist Reese Palmer's groundbreaking Apple Music radio show, Color Me Country Radio. Makes sense given that she's an African-American woman. Her program is called Color Me Country Radio, and we'll put a spotlight on Reese today as her show brings to the fore the contributions of artists of color who have long been underrepresented in the genre of country music. That on the B side of this hour. But we commence this hour with the David and Goliath story of the Southern Company, which owns Georgia Power, Mississippi Power, and Alabama Power, versus Alabama Interfaith Power and Light. The Southern Company is accused of polluting poor neighborhoods, causing a mess of health challenges for black residents, and allegedly going so far as to pay a black newspaper to write nice things about the company. Reverend Michael Malcolm, Executive Director of the People's Justice Council, tells us all about it right now. This particular climate justice fight, there are many in the country, but this one is fascinating and getting the attention of many. It is, again, sort of a David and Goliath story, and I wanted to have him on to tell us more about it. So I'm delighted to welcome Reverend Michael Malcolm to this program. Reverend, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. Thank you for this invitation, and thank you for having me.
My great delight to have you on. I tried to frame this as best I could. Let me start with a couple of basic questions, and we'll make the most of this half hour that we have. Tell me more about the Southern Company. What is the Southern Company?
So Southern Company is the parent utility owner of Alabama Power, Mississippi Power, as well as Georgia Power. Again, they are the main umbrella for these subsidiaries.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that they have been doing?
Yeah, so what haven't they been doing when it comes down to environmental burdens and energy burdens? In all actuality, if I could just plain speak, they have been at the forefront of harming Black, brown, and indigenous communities, whether it be through environmental pollution or it be through these high utility bills that we pay. Mm-hmm. They have been at the forefront.
Mm-hmm. Tell me more about the environmental degradation that you allege they've been engaged in.
Yeah, so the environmental burdens would be things such as dumping coal ash into a Black community that they also deemed too poisonous to be in a white community, but then being backed up because politically they've also invested in, if I could use that word for lack of using another word, they've invested in some of our politicians and political structures that have caused the politicians to side on the side of the profiteers and polluting facilities and on the protections of the people.
Mm-hmm. I'm not naive in asking this question, but why would a company risk its corporate reputation, risk being seen as a good corporate citizen, and engage in this kind of behavior?
So, yeah, Tavis, first and foremost, there's nothing about you that makes me think that you're naive in any way, and I appreciate that question because that sets up for what the gist of or the evil of this whole thing is. The reason why they can engage in this and be comfortable engaging in this is because they own the news. The ones who tell the story, and the hunter's always the victor as long as the hunter got the pen.
Mm-hmm. No, about that.
I'm sorry.
No, I said about that. You were right. There's no question about that. Let me do this. When we come forward, I want to probe this a bit more. I want to get a better understanding of the ways in which these communities of color have been and are being harmed. For those who in LA, where my home station is based, you know that we are engaged in a very serious climate justice campaign for the entire year of 2024, a major $2 million plus campaign where we are doing our part to amplify the voices of people of color in these conversations, to hold people accountable, and a great deal more. You can go to our website from my home station in LA, KBLA 1580, to read more about that climate justice campaign. I was just on one of our affiliates, WURD in Philadelphia, last week talking about this. So I'm making the rounds around the country, sharing with other people what we're doing in LA around issues of climate justice. But these fights are being fought everywhere. And so we're talking about the Southern Company, which owns, again, Georgia Power, Mississippi Power, and Alabama Power, and what they're doing to pollute and to dump and to cause all kinds of harm specifically in communities of color, and why and how they've been getting away with that. Our guest is Executive Director of the People's Justice Council, the Reverend Michael Malcolm. More with him when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Listen up, City of Los Angeles renters that live in rent-controlled units. Landlords can now increase your rent by 4%. Know these 3 facts. The rent increase is allowed February 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. An extra 1% per utility up to 6% can be added if the landlord pays the entire gas and electric bill. And illegal rent increase complaints can be filed at housing.lacity.org. Check if you live in a rent-controlled unit and learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there, here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Reverend Michael Malcolm coming your way right now as we delve more deeply into this David and Goliath story and how it's playing out down south. In case you've just tuned in, the Southern Company, a for-profit behemoth, owns Georgia Power, Mississippi Power, and Alabama Power. And they've been taken to task for polluting poor neighborhoods, causing just an array of challenges and health problems for black and brown residents in that region of the country. Reverend Malcolm, tell me a bit more about specifically what they've been doing, what these communities look like, and then we'll talk about how they've been getting away with this.
Yeah, so I will give you a case in point of a community and some communities, I believe it's 5 or 6 surrounding communities in northern Birmingham, where this coal-firing plant was polluting these communities to the point that they declared certain parts a Superfund site. Well, there were certain parts that was declared Superfund, but the whole entire area needed to be declared a Superfund site. But because of the interference of Alabama Power and Botch and Bingham, and they paid off one of the local politicians for that area who devised the plan that disseminated misinformation to the community. And what wound up happening is the community ended up fighting the EPA when they came in to do inspection on their yards and their community and whatnot. They fought them because they were made to feel like the EPA was the enemy when in all actuality they came in to help. But the problem that occurred, or the reason that this occurred, is because, again, Alabama Power holds so much weight when it comes down to our politicians as well as our news, the things that we consume. And so you don't hear a whole lot of negative. You probably didn't even hear about this politician being paid off and limiting this Superfund site from taking place and getting these people justice. Well, that's because the news has literally been paid off by Alabama Power. And so what any negative reports that might come out against Alabama Power, you don't hear. You probably hadn't even heard that right now people are paying 3 or 4 times for their utilities than what they had previous to this cold snap we had. You've got people complaining about $400 and $500 utility bills when they can barely afford to put food on their table for their children. Mm-hmm. This is national news, but nobody's actually hearing about it because, again, Alabama Power holds so much weight when it comes down to the information that's being disseminated against them.
What do we know about the health challenges that people are being subjected to because of these environmental hazards?
Yeah, so looking at various places from various communities, you've got the Uniontown community who has had coal ash dumped into their backyard. You've got the power plants who are polluting. All of these, you have high rates of asthma. Mm-hmm. You also have rare cases of cancer because of some of the chemicals that are being used in these facilities, and people are inhaling this. That is one of the worst things that I could ever see, and one of the reasons why my faith wouldn't allow for me to just sit back and be silent is I went into a community in North Birmingham, and the first thing I saw driving into the community was this big polluting facility, this big power generating facility. Mm-hmm. Then, as I leave out, I have to see this thing all over again. I don't live in this community, but I can imagine that each and every person that lives in this community is terrified by what they see when they leave, they come into their community as well as when they leave out of their community, knowing that when they come back, they're going to see it all over again. And it wasn't a thing of where this thing was shut down. It was actively emitting pollution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There are 2 or 3 things in my head at the same time. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. I think the question I want to ask is, what agency do these black residents have? I mean, what I'm pushing toward is that when I frame this as a David and Goliath story because it is very difficult for everyday people, particularly poor everyday people, to fight back against these behemoth institutions like the Southern Company. So, on a real level, what agency do these people have to fight back?
Well, I think that's the hope as well. It's the despair, and it's also the hope. Mm-hmm. The newspaper the one newspaper that was black owned that communities could use, literally is owned by Alabama Power now. They bought this newspaper, and there's been no negative, none of what I've told you has come through this newspaper. This is the oldest and the only black newspaper in Birmingham, and you can't get the information because Alabama Power owns it. You can't hear the stories because Alabama Power owns it. Even our major news sources are have been co-opted, and so nothing negative about Alabama Power comes in. However, the People's Justice Council has cameras, and we've got social media, and we've got a platform, and so what we've decided to do is to take those stories and magnify or amplify those stories ourselves. We don't have to have permission from Alabama Power to let people tell their stories and put it out for folks to see. We don't have to have permission from even our government agencies here to get people's stories out so people can hear these stories. If you're expecting to hear the stories in Alabama, it won't necessarily happen. So we have to go outside of Alabama to ensure that the voices are heard and the people are seen.
Yeah. What do you do when you are fighting a fight like this, when people's lives are being harmed, when babies and others are contracting asthma, and people are coming down with rare forms of cancer, and because this entity is so all powerful, and they basically shut down any pushback against him. What do you do specifically when the government looks the other way?
I would say that they are powerful, but they aren't all powerful, Brother Tavis. Some in my faith won't let me say that they are all powerful. My faith tells me that there is only one that's all powerful. And so you ask, what do? I pray and I fight in a real sense until change happens. I pray and I fight. And I think that is the same attitude that we all must take. The reason why it continues is because some of us give up because they have this misconception that Southern power is all powerful. But the reality is power belongs to the people.
Yep.
We just have to find a way to let them know that.
Yep.
That the power belongs to the people.
In a fight like this, what leverage do you have?
The people.
Yeah.
I mean, in a real way, we've got people. Just as you read the story in The Guardian, others have read the story as well, but that story got out. It got out. Even though it didn't get out through Alabama, it got out. So we keep telling our stories. We keep our feet on. Keep our feet on the gas. We keep pulling that lever until somebody. There's a saying that says squeaky wheel gets the most grease. We got to be that squeaky wheel, brother. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Until somebody hears us and somebody sees us.
Yeah.
And I believe, my faith tells me that God will be there and God will see us through it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm like Dr. King. I don't know if it'll happen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But it will happen. I'm going to contribute to that fight.
What kind of mobilization around these issues are you seeing in the community?
I'm glad you asked. We are part of a large mobilization right now, which is Arm in Arm. You can find that through Arm in Arm, 4climate.org. But we're part of Arm in Arm, we are a regional collaboration that consists of organizations in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. We've already been taking Southern Power to task. We've gone a few times and protested at Southern Power, whether it be at the showholder meeting or right there on their headquarters. We're getting ready to do it real big again this summer, and would love to have all those who hurt that come and so that they can hear our voices. In addition to, we are right now in the process of trying to hold some meetings and get in their face so that we can have some conversations and find out where those touch points are so we can make those changes.
Yep.
In addition to, we have a public service commission that regulates our utilities. And that right there is another even bigger issue, because they're supposed to stand for the protections of people, but they don't. They stand for the protections of the profiteers.
Yep.
And so to be able to go against them and to literally get them out of office, because we do vote them in and out, to get them out of office or tell them to straighten up and fly right, that's something else that we can do right away. And Alabama Power, Interfaith Power and Light, as well as the People's Justice Council and Arm in Arm are all teaming together to show folks how to make that happen.
What specifically, I'm watching my time, got about 3 minutes left here. What specifically are your demands of the Southern Company?
So we want Southern Company to be more transparent.
Mm-hmm.
We want Southern Company to be more transparent. We want weatherization for all the residents in the Southeast or in their region. We also want exit strategy for those that live in places like where the Miller plant is, which is the largest pollutant facility in the nation. We want an exit strategy so that those communities can leave.
Yeah.
Or shut down that facility.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, so not just that community, but other communities that are affected in the same way. Sorry.
No. You can apologize to me. I've been at this for a while now. We are putting out later this year the 20th anniversary of the Covenant with Black America. People know that book and all the history that it made almost 20 years ago now. And one of the 10 covenants is about environmental justice. So I've been working on this, talking about this for at least 20 years now. There are others who've done a lot more than I've done and been at it a lot longer. But it's emotionally and psychologically and spiritually debilitating. We understand, as you mentioned earlier, we don't let misery have the last word ever. But it is debilitating to have to fight these fights all the time. As I said earlier, it's a David and Goliath fight. But these power companies and these polluters have so much sway. And to see the harm that they are causing, to see, again, people contracting asthma, to see, I mean, I was reading a stat the other day that 1 of every 3 children in Harlem has asthma. 1 of every 3 in Harlem has asthma because they are so close to all these pollutants and all these plants that are near Harlem. Now, you don't see that in certain parts of New York. You won't see it in Westchester, but you'll see it in Harlem. And to your point, you see it in poor communities in Alabama, in Mississippi, in Georgia. But there are other spaces and places where you would never, have to fight this kind of fight. So it's debilitating in one way, but I love the fight back. I love the fight back that you all are engaged in, and I'm pulling for you and I'm praying for you. And I wanted to make sure we had the conversation here. When I saw that article in the Guardian, I've seen a number of pieces, but when I saw that piece, I thought I'd reach out to you to have you on because this is a fight worth fighting. It's a fight worth talking about. And I'm as I said, I'm pulling and praying for you and all your colleagues there to push back successfully against this company, Reverend Malcolm.
I appreciate you, Mr. Smiley. Can I give one more plug real quick?
Sure, please do.
March 16th in Atlanta, Georgia, we will be coming together for the People's Gala. The People's Gala will be happening March 16th in Atlanta. We'll be having it at the Atlanta Zoo. We're bringing people from all throughout the Southeast and the Gulf South where we want to come together, and we really want to celebrate and love on one another, but also strengthen each other for this fight.
No, it's a serious fight, and I'm glad that you are engaged in it. I call it a David and Goliath story. It is. It's the Southern Company versus everybody, and everybody is getting involved in this fight to save the lives of our precious brothers and sisters in Georgia, in Mississippi, in Alabama. Reverend Malcolm, good to have you on, my friend. All the best to you. Stay strong.
I appreciate you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Likewise. Reese Palmer coming up on Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East to promote the framework of a hostage release deal. It comes as Israel's defense minister said yesterday the country is now focusing on the Gaza Strip's most southern city as it's Hamas's last stronghold in the region. The minister added that the leader of Hamas is now on the run and moving from hideout to hideout. In Illinois, the family of a black man shot and killed by police in western suburban Carroll Stream are demanding to see body camera footage of the shooting. Bonnie Pigram, the mother of Isaac Goodlow III, mentioned at a news gathering yesterday that her son was gunned down by police like a dog. Family attorney Andrew Stroh filed a request with police to release all video and audio relating to the shooting. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you have access to 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Both of LA's NBA teams ended long road trips with impressive wins last night. The Lakers got a strong triple-double from Anthony Davis to help finish a 4-2 trip. AD had 26 points, 15 rebounds, and 11 assists. LeBron also had 26 points and 7 assists. D'Angelo Russell led the Lakers with 28. The Lakers are home Thursday night against Denver. There's a ton of sparkling numbers for the Clippers. They held on for a 5-point win in Atlanta to cap a 6-1 Eastern road trip. 36 points for Kawhi Leonard, 30 points and 10 assists for James Harden. The Clippers shot 60% from three-point range. They are 19 games over 500 and just a half game behind Minnesota and Oklahoma City for the best record in the Western Conference. Since December 1st, the Clippers are 26-5. They're at home Wednesday night against New Orleans. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
We all agree that America has a very serious problem.
Okay, KBLA delegation, we need your help as we launch our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We would deeply appreciate you going to our KBLA 1580 website and filling out a short climate justice survey, which will help us better serve our beloved community as we build out this campaign. It'll take you just a few short minutes to complete the online survey, and the information you provide us will be invaluable as we do our part to hold folk accountable and amplify the voices of our people in this climate conversation. When you take the survey, you'll be automatically entered to win seats at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 29th. So, Hit our website at KBLA 1580. Help us out by taking the short Climate Justice Campaign survey, and you could be our guest at our annual Black History Month luncheon Thursday, February 29th. Thank you in advance for your consideration and cooperation. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community, we care about the climate. We care about the climate. More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
It's the way I think, not how I talk. Oh no, it's a pride you feel that makes you walk the walk. And come Sunday morning, palms up and praise, yeah. It's all about my mama and him and house raised. It's a state of mind no matter where you're from. Living like your grandma does.
The song is called Country Girl, and it is the song that put Reese Palmer on the map as an African-American country music star. I love that track, Country Girl. I am delighted to have Reese on this program to celebrate the 4th season of her groundbreaking radio show, Color Me Country Radio, with Reese Palmer on Apple Music Radio. Since its launch, the show has put a spotlight on contributions of artists of color who have long been underrepresented, that is, in the country music genre. And I'm delighted to have Reese Palmer on this program. Reese, how are you today? It's been too long.
I know. How you doing? I'm good.
I'm
Thank
well.
you for having me.
It's good to have you. I'm doing well. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. So I'm doing well and delighted to have a few minutes to talk to you. When you hear that song all these years later, I think that puts you out there for many of us. When you hear that, you think what all these years later?
Honestly, I was thinking, I was like, oh, I hate the vocal. Like, that's honestly what I was sitting there thinking. It's so funny.
Yeah, you can't hate the vocals. It made you a star. It put you out there.
It did. No, I love the song. I just I'm a perfectionist, and so that song is almost 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to. I wish I could re-record it. I know it's almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, it's almost 20.
No, you said 10. I was going to correct you. No, it ain't 10. It's more than 10. You've been at this for a while and doing it well. Tell me, I'm always fascinated to people's backstories. We all know, everybody saw the movie Ray. We all saw the movie Ray, and we understand the love that Ray Charles had for country music. And there's Charlie Pride, and many others, of course, down through the years. But I'm always fascinated to people's backstories. For you, you have a voice. You've been blessed with a gift. You could sing anything. For you, why country? How country?
I loved the country music since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I was really fortunate to grow up in a house where we weren't limited to what we could listen to. So, like, my parents' record collection was country, it was R&B, it was folk music, gospel music. But the thing that got me was the storytelling. I always was extremely drawn to the stories, like, Coat of Many Colors and Jolene and all that. Those were a lot of the first records I heard. And so I was like, I love that. I think that's so dope.
Yeah.
So that was it for me.
Ray Charles said the same thing, that what got him was he loved the storytelling, which leads me to ask what it is. I mean, and everybody who loves country basically says the same thing. They love the storytelling. What is it about this particular genre that raises storytelling to a level of appreciation that other genres don't do in the same way?
Well, that's a great question. And I think the things that we love about country music, especially as Black people, are the same type of things that are seen in, like, gospel music, especially traditional gospel music, and in the blues. You get an entire picture painted for you in less than 30 seconds, like in the first verse.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm a tactile girl, so I like to see it. I like to smell it. I like to feel like I'm immersed in it. And that's what makes country music special. And like I said, and it draws from those familiar things that we're familiar with. Like if you grew up in church,
Yeah.
you know, I know I've been changed. It's a whole story. It's a testimony. And so those are the things I think that draw us in.
Yeah. As you've been at this for a while now, we talked about your track "Country Girl" a moment ago. That song is almost 20 years old now. So you've been at this for a while, and I'll talk about your radio show, which I want to celebrate, "Color Me Country," in a second here.
Thank you.
You've been at this for a while now. What have you noticed? Have you noticed the advent, the growth, the inclusion of African Americans in this genre over that 2 decades?
You know what? I have noticed the thing that has been encouraging is I'm seeing artists everywhere. Like I'm seeing artists of color at every turn, and I think that's amazing. And I think that's because of the advent of streaming, of YouTube, of social media, and so the gatekeepers are no longer able to completely keep us from, you know, people are able to get around the gate. And so I don't necessarily think that country music is just like, please, Black people, come to me. Let us boost you. Let us sign you. I don't think that's happening necessarily, but I do see that there are ways to circumvent the system. And I will add, because I don't want it to be all gloom and doom, there are institutions within the industry that are working hard to make changes. Like I see, for example, my boss, BMT. They're always extremely inclusive in their Next Women of Country of having Black artists, Latino artists, LGBTQ plus artists, and that sort of thing. So I see them making an effort, and there are people that are doing it.
Yeah.
It's just not widespread, I wouldn't say.
Yep. I guess the question is it worth the struggle when you're breaking into an industry that isn't just, you know, overly populated with people who look like you? One assumes that there's a struggle there. I mean, it's a struggle in the music industry, period, to make it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what genre you're in. But for African Americans in particular, is it worth the struggle to make it in country music as you have?
That's a great question. I think anything that you feel passionate about and you feel purposeful about, yeah, it is worth the struggle. But that's those key words though. Like it's something that has to be a passion for you. It has to be something that you feel like is your purpose. Because otherwise, no, it's not worth the time. I mean, you know, it's. I always ask people all the time, do you want to be famous or do you want to be a musician? Because those are two very different prospects, and one of them you usually don't end up with.
Yeah.
So, you know, you should know very early on what your motivations are.
Yeah. When we come forward, I got a few other questions I want to ask about your motivations. I want to talk, of course, about your Color Me Country radio program, now in its 4th season, a groundbreaking radio show. And I should just mention, we woke up to this news this morning. I never met him. We woke up to the news this morning, speaking of country, that country music star Toby Keith died in his peacefully, we were told, passed away peacefully at age 62. He announced, I guess, a year or two ago that he had cancer, stomach cancer, and he passed away today at the age of 62. So for those of you who are country music fans, I know there are many of you who like country music. Toby Keith is about as big as they come in this genre, and he sadly dead at the age of 62 today. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of one Toby Keith. When we come forward, we'll continue our dialogue with our country music star, Reese Palmer, on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.media.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.media.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm-fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Before I get back to Reese Palmer here, talking about her groundbreaking radio show, Color Me Country, some breaking news here. One of those days, we had breaking news earlier today when we learned that a federal appellate court has ruled that Donald Trump does not have immunity from prosecution for January the 6th. More breaking news here. Many of you have been following this story. Jennifer Crumbley, the mother of Ethan Crumbley, has been found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in her son's school shooting. Let me read now from, who am I reading from? Some of these sources. This is NBC News. In Pontiac, Michigan, Jennifer Crumbley, the Michigan woman charged in connection with her son's deadly school shooting rampage in 2021, was convicted of involuntary manslaughter in this unprecedented case. The unanimous verdict comes on the second day of jury deliberations in a landmark trial that turned on an unusual question. Can the parent of a child who commits a mass shooting also be held criminally responsible? She's 45, charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 1 for each of the victims in the attack at Oxford High School in November 2021. Her son, Ethan, pleaded guilty as an adult to murder, terrorism, and other crimes. He was sentenced in December to life in prison without parole. And now his mother faces up to 15 years in prison per count. 15 years in prison per count. And she will remain held on bond. So this is a fascinating development, which I'm sure we'll be talking about on this program in the days to come, and others will be as well. You can't have a conversation these days about guns in America and not wrestle with the reality of all these young folk, these kids essentially, who are going to schools with weapons and engaging in these mass shootings. But now, according to this particular jury, a parent of a child who commits a mass shooting can, in fact, be held criminally responsible. That is the breaking news out of Pontiac, Michigan. Wanted to get that to you as quickly as I could. So, again, I'm sure there'll be a lot more about that in the days ahead. Our guest in this half hour though is Reese Palmer. I'm sorry, Reese, for that. It happens sometimes. You get breaking news and you gotta put that out there. It threatens to take us off course, but not really, because I want to get back to what we were talking about with regard to your groundbreaking radio show, Color Me Country Radio. So first of all, congratulations on the show. Congrats on the 4th season of it. For those who've not heard Color Me Country Radio, tell me all about it.
Sure. Well, it's a show. It's on Apple Music Country. We're on every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's an hour of just us celebrating people of color within the genre of country music and Americana and other roots musics. I started the show back in 2020. It was originally just an idea that I had to keep me busy while I was helping my then 3rd grader and my 9-month-old keep from going insane during the pandemic. And, I just wanted to have conversations with other artists, and honest conversations, because I used to feel like in the beginning of my career, I had to put on this facade that everything's happy, everything's good, there's no racism, there's no misogyny, like everything's great. And because you want to be a team player, right? And, you want to, and on the flip side of that, you want to be able to talk to your peers and say what you really think and not be penalized for having those thoughts or those feelings. And so that's what I set out to do with this show, was to create a place where people could come, and I'm a peer, and I probably experienced and met a lot of the same people as you and that sort of thing. So like we can speak on some real honest stuff.
Yeah.
It's been great.
It's always amazing to me how you get an idea for something. You heard Reese say a moment ago she did it because she was really trying to keep herself sane in the pandemic with these two babies. And what starts out as just an idea to keep her busy turns into 4 seasons of a now groundbreaking radio show called Color Me Country Radio with Reese Palmer on Apple Music Radio. We'll wrap our conversation with Reese when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I started vaping my freshman year of high school, mostly because all my friends had vapes. I wanted to fit in with them and look cool and be a part of everything that they were doing. The hardest part about quitting for me was all my friends still hitting their vapes right next to me. It was really frustrating and confusing when I was trying to quit because in my head I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, but for some reason my brain still wanted it.
No quit story is the same. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Reese Palmer as we celebrate the 4th season of her amazing radio show, Color Me Country Radio, with Reese Palmer on Apple Music Radio. Reese, you've been talking, you were talking a moment ago about your conversations on the program with other artists, but I want to wrap our conversation with these 3 minutes I have left talking about your music. We started playing your big hit, Country Girl. So what's up with Reese Palmer music these days?
Reese Palmer is working on an album right now.
Ah, okay.
I am. I'm writing for a new album, and I hope to have it out by the end of the year.
And is it how do I want to ask this question? I'm always fascinated by people who put out albums because generally there's a story behind it. Sometimes there's a theme with it. Is there a theme here? Is there a story behind the album, or just a collection of songs?
Oh no, there's always a story.
Yeah, I know there is. That's why I'm asking. What's the backstory to the album that you're working on now? That's what I'm asking.
Well, my personal life has gone through quite a few transitions in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And is coming to a head this year. And I'll just say this: the name of the album is called Survivor's Joy. So.
See. I'm glad I asked that question. Survivor's joy. And see, now the conversation comes full circle. This is why we love country music. It's the storytelling. It's the lyrics, right? And I tell you, man, if I had a dime for every, as you know, in my career, I've been able to talk to so many artists and friends with so many of them, and I love music, as everybody knows. But if I had a dime for every artist who has shared with me the backstory for how a song came to be that had to do with their personal life, I'd be independently wealthy. It is always fascinating for me.
Yes.
It's always fascinating for me how you endure life, you live life, and if you're an artist and you're willing to be open and transparent about it, you got some great content. There's some great material there for an album. And so to know that it's called Survivor's Joy tells me pretty much everything I need to know right now about what the album will be. But I look forward to it. Let me just ask you this. I got about 60 seconds left. Is the writing of the songs, is the production of the project in any way therapeutic, given what you've gone through the last couple of years?
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
It's easier in hindsight to sit down and kind of put things into perspective, and it helps tremendously.
Yeah. Well, it's called Survivor's Joy, and you are as smart as I am, whatever that means, so you can pretty much figure out that it's going to be a pretty transparent project, and that is the kind of stuff that people love to hear. This great storytelling when they listen to country music, and Reese Palmer, I look forward to that project when it drops. In the meantime, congratulations once again on Color Me Country Radio on your 4th season. Good to have you on our program, and have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the year.
Same to you, Tavis. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you.
Good to have you on this program. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.